when I'm getting to the bag. Ay, got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when the lane moving fast. Ay, ay, let them all cross. If they hate, then let them hate and make a bigger boss. Ay.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are not live. We're doing a little pre-recorded episode today because while you guys listen to me, I'm going to be out on the road visiting customers when this episode airs. It's a rarity, but again, you guys, I practice what I preach. I get out there and I meet my customers in person because that's the best way to build relationships up there. And speaking of the best way of doing things, sometimes when you're going out there and you're building your book of business, sometimes experience can actually be a detriment because you only look at things from a certain lens and a certain landscape. And the older I get, the more I realize how little I know. And sometimes the best perspective that you're going to find is a fresh perspective out there. And we're going to talk about that today and how coming into the industry new can actually bring and spark a lifeblood into a business and an organization. So I am welcoming my friend Eric Jordan back on the show, and we are also going to be joined by Iliana Filpo. You guys, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too. Good to see you.
Thank you, Chris.
Iliana, we're gonna put you on the hot seat right away. I already asked Eric this question, and I always like to lead in this question with people. What brought you into transportation? What was it about this industry where you're like, I want to go give that a try?
Okay, so I think it's just been seeing Eric work over the years. And even though he has moments of lots of stress and trying to cover loads and these kind of things, he's always enjoyed it. So one day we were on the phone and we talked, and then he said, this is what I do. And I was like, you know what? Let's give it a try. And that kind of just drew me into. I've seen Eric being able to juggle a bunch of roles in one day. And I think it's because of the flexibility that this industry allows for.
No, I think that it's, one thing I've come to realize is, when you want to build anything, like stress is a byproduct. Like that's always going to be there no matter what. And if it wasn't stressful, everybody would be doing it. And there's no reward in that, right? Because it's like, as much as a utopia sounds great, I would be bored at the end of the day. Like I have found that the longer I have been self-employed, I actually thrive in the uncertainty. I don't like it at times, but like I thrive in that environment because for me personally, if I think too much, I actually cause things to become worse. Where like my strong suit is acting. All right. Like it's like when I'm in the moment, when something happens, I need to be able to make a decision and make that decision quick. If I have too much time to think and stew on something, more times than not, I make the wrong decision because then I start having that internal debate in my head about all of these different variables when none of them were even going to happen. And you had to be quick and decisive in that moment. And then you just make the decision and you move on.
That's right. Yep.
So Eric, let's bring you into this here, man. What was it like going out there, like, building up a team? Let's start with that, because I think every business owner, every agency owner, they all want to add to their headcount, right? They want to grow. Most people do, right? Like some people are comfortable. They want to be that one person operation. They want to make what they make and they're fine with that. But what was it where you're like, man, I want to grow. I want to scale. I see this opportunity. I got to hire somebody.
Right. So I have always had people come to me and be like, oh, Eric, what do you do? I want to know. I want to learn that. Or, how can I help out? And I've, over the years, maybe 5 or 6 people, I showed them what I did. I introduced them to, reaching out to new customers and possibly, getting some freight and just working them in. Everyone, that tried, they couldn't see the bigger picture. They stopped after a week. they were deflated. And in this industry, as far as getting a new customer, you have to first, like we talked about once before, you put it out there, reach out to a customer, and if you get them in your funnel, right? You got to get them in your funnel, and then it takes a while. You're not going to get a customer right away. So you get them in the funnel, you maintain that relationship over time, and then eventually you'll get some freight. Most of the time, that's how it works. So everyone that I've spoke to about possibly doing this, being a team, it just never worked out. I happened to talk to Iliana on the phone. We talked occasionally, and we always have good conversation. And she's, to me, one of the brightest people that I know. Mm-hmm. And I thought, if I have the brightest person I know at my disposal, and she is able to help out, not just her, but me, mm-hmm. And we can grow this, why not give her a try? Mm-hmm. And so when I reached out to her, she was right on. She was, ready to go from day one. And then listening to her come back to me the next day and the excitement in her voice of learning something new mm-hmm. really, really made me feel good, because I just assumed that she may, be like, oh, this is boring. I'm too smart for this. But she put a fresh pair of glasses on me. I was able to see things differently, having her reach out to me and ask questions that I never, when you're in this industry, you're working from home as an agent or working in the office as an agent, you don't have any coworkers. You're in your bubble.
Yeah.
Now, having a coworker, you have that banter back and forth, and you have someone else to give you good advice or bad advice you may have been doing for 20 years.
Yeah.
So she's pulled me in. She's got me excited. We're excited every time we talk on the phone in the morning. The possibility of new customers or even bringing in new customers, and she's excited. I'm looking forward to spending many years with her doing this.
No, I love hearing that. And, and like what I was saying when we started the show, sometimes the best perspective is a fresh perspective. And I think a detriment to a lot of individuals and companies out there is when they're like, hey, this is just the way that we've always done things. And I get it, right? Like sometimes you are doing the right thing, right? But like at times, like to your point, Eric, we get stuck in our ways and we are so consumed with doing the same thing day in and day out that we're actually missing out on future growth opportunities and potential. And, so Iliana, I want to ask you this. What was one of those things about the transportation industry that you were like, why are we doing it this way? Why have we not looked at it from this perspective?
Okay. So when I first started working with Eric, what I did was go on YouTube and just find out as much as I can about the industry. Right. Yeah. And I actually read it. I read it a lot. You feel like real people talking, right? Yeah. So one of the things that people fear, and I think especially nowadays, is AI, right? It's like, oh, they're gonna come and take all our jobs. Yet at the same time, I was able to see it as a tool, mm-hmm. right? Where maybe I think that was one of the first things that I showed Eric, right? Eric said, like I said, he would be like, hey, if you wanted to do this job, all you have to do is pick up a can of food, see what company's doing, and just give it a call and see what happens, kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. And so I've been in virtual assistant for a while now, so I've been involved with like technology. Yes, it has evolved, right? I need it in order to work. So AI is one of those. I said, hey, Eric, I think it was the next day. I was like, hey, Eric, look, I have a list of these companies we can call. He was like, how do you do that? It's that, how long it would take us to put this together back then? Yeah. I was like, well, I just, went and used the tools available kind of thing. And I think that was the biggest thing that I've seen.
Yeah, I think right there is, I think everybody's missing the mark on AI and what it can actually do for an individual. I think too many people are fear-based in their emotions, and they're like, oh my gosh, it will 100% take your job if you allow it, or you can arm yourself with it and become a truly unstoppable force. And exactly. I utilize AI inside of my business, both of my companies, right? In my brokerage and in my media stuff, because it can work so much faster than I can. And, to talk about the leads that you're talking about there, Iliana, I have been working with I use Gemini because I have everything on G Suites. And Gemini is included in my G Suite subscription. So I'm already paying for it. I might as well use the tool. And I have that thing trained now that every time I put a company in there, it scrapes everything, what they produce, where all of their major hubs are, what trailer types they might be shipping on, where they might be shipping into, their potential customers, and it spits all that data out. And it takes a second, right? So it's like I have all of that information, then boom, I'm armed for that sales call, right? Like I can ask actual penetrating questions to my prospects that throws them off of their battle pose of how do I get this sales rep off the phone? Because they're like, oh, wait, what? What did you just ask me? You didn't ask to move. No, I don't. I'm not concerned.
Yeah.
If your freight doesn't ship this way, I don't want to talk to you, just like you don't want to talk to me. So the faster we can get to that, the better off we'll both be. And again, it's because I'm asking penetrating questions about their actual company and not overarching basic yes, no's. Do you work with brokers? Do you do this? They're going to hang up on you, right? And it's like there's so much information that's at our disposal. And then you know what? Maybe you're uncomfortable with, they give you the email address and you've never actually sent a summary of a conversation you just had with somebody as a follow-up. You can ask AI, hey, come up with a couple of follow-up emails for me, and it'll spit it out. And then again, I would never copy and paste. I would recommend read it, make some changes, make it sound your own. But the thing is the more you work with AI, the more it starts to talk back to you in your tone. And then you can get it to that point where it's like, no, that's literally exactly what I would say, almost verbatim. Boom, copy and paste and send it out. And to me, it's like you would be a fool in today's environment to not be utilizing that for your business development, for your lead generation, because the thing that I have now, it spits out it's like, hey, do you want me to find more companies that are like this in this area? And then boom, it fills it up. More leads. And now you don't have to pay for lead generation software, because I paid for lead generation software in my business, and all it gave me was a list of companies that was never up to date. The people, the decision makers that they listed were not employed there anymore, more times than not. And all I had was a phone number. So I look at it as I'm a fan of cold calling. I would rather get to a no or a yes as fast as possible. I hate passive aggressive. I hate just non-answers and ignoring the email. It's like, if it's a no, tell me. So I find that if I can utilize that, all of those companies that are out there through lead generation software, and then I can build up a lead list, and then I have it integrated in with my CRM. So now I have all of my customers, all of my prospects in one place, and all of my follow-up is happening. That's like from my perspective, it's a winning recipe, and it's one that everybody should be utilizing.
Yeah. I agree. I was so excited when Iliana introduced me to Chris. I was that fool, 20 years of doing the exact same way. My mind was just set on posting loads, covering loads, posting, she went in, she came back to me the next day and showed me, all these prospects. And I thought, how on earth did that happen? Like, this is crazy. And so I was in love with her from there. And she's also doing the carrier side. She's keeping great lists of all the good carriers that we worked with over the years. She's gone into our database and looked at who I used the most, who did this lane. And, I didn't do that. I just was stuck in that 20-year same old, same way decision making. And she's fresh eyes, and I love it.
So, Iliana, how have you been able to formulate carrier partnerships out there? Because I think that's a word that's thrown out there a lot, but very few people actually execute upon it. And, I talk ad nauseum about how we personally do it. So I'd love to hear from you. How are you keeping your carriers fed right now when the overall freight market, no matter what you see, it's still slow overall, right? So it's like, how are you keeping your drivers fed?
Okay. So actually, Chris, that was a question that I was going to have for you. I think that's very important. But at the same time, right, I think especially working with smaller companies, right? Like, let's say Eric and I went on highway once and you can see how many drivers they actually have, right? So maybe reaching out to smaller companies, especially when we had to make calls because we couldn't find a carrier size. Let's start with the smaller ones, right? Because in that way, you're more likely to build a relationship with them. We had solo drivers too, right? We have recently formed a relationship with someone who's local in Texas. Okay, so this is a Texas guy. This is who I call first whenever I have this load, right? And that way he remembers that next time we're stuck in a rut or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Now that's literally for us. We are. I'll answer your question that I think you might have asked me here, Iliana. My thing is we have our core carriers for. I want to get to the point where 85% of our freight is booked with the same handful of carriers.
Wow.
And what we're doing right now is by the time this is aired, all these shipments are going to be picked up and delivered. But as soon as we get a shipment, even if it's for next week, we're emailing and calling our top 5. Hey, we have this load in this area. Do you have any trucks in there? Are you going to position any trucks in there? Do you want this? I want to get those guys pre-booked, right? Because like we got to do more with less. It's just me and my business partner that are out there building this up right now. So we got to maximize our time. And once we find a carrier who communicates at a high level, they take photos, they have bought into our process. We want to reward them, right? And like I pay above market to them. I could easily go out there, push that rate down, try and find a cheaper truck, but I've just never had that work out for me long term. Where the market we're about to go into, where it's a carrier market, rates are going to go up, capacity is going to seemingly tighten up. There's going to be a lot of brokers who are going to struggle because they've never operated in an environment where it's been hard to cover. And the sooner you can get off the load board, the better you are going to be set up for that next wave of this, because like ultimately all of these drivers are going to remember who are the brokers who took care of us, who treated us right, who paid us, all of that stuff. If you do that, you're going to dominate this next market swing that's going to happen. And my fear is for a lot of brokers is they're not going to change their ways, and then it's going to cost them business.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I love the fact that there's also incentives for using the same carrier and rendezvous. I like that. And so what Iliana and I have done is we've created a spreadsheet of all our loads.
Yep.
And every time, we have the ones that are in orange, that are ones that we need to cover.
Yep.
We take a portion of that spreadsheet, send it out to various carriers and say, hey, these are the loads we have coming up for next week. Can you help out? And, a lot of times we get stuff covered that way, or we have one particular person that we reach out to that does a lot. But Iliana has shown me, the relationship part of it. I've always had it. Like, I've been doing it for 20 years. I do have relationships with carriers. But after a while, certain carriers that you have worked with, they may have done something terrible, or they've done something bad in the past, or you may have had a bad feeling about them. Yeah. Iliana was able to say, hey, Eric, give them a fresh chance. And when you're talking to them, be more gentle, be more kind. And that has helped. I mean, she was like, wow, Eric, that was pretty harsh. I was like, yeah, well, I know this carrier, they did me wrong on a load before, and we wound up talking to a carrier and we got it covered. And your tone makes a big difference. And I'm learning that.
No, it's always easier said than done, but I will always I wasn't always like this, but now I'm like, all right, how fast can we just get to a resolution? Like, check your pride.
Right.
Most importantly, check your pride, because more times than not, they're in possession of our customers' freight. And if you say the wrong thing and they go rogue, we could get bad very, very quickly.
Right. You're right.
I would, like we went through a situation here recently where I personally never experienced this before. And it was one of those ones where like we lost a lot of money on it.
Oh, wow.
We had to, because our customer would have been in a very, very bad spot. And to kind of summarize, we were supposed to pick up a load. The original destination changed. They had now switched the receiver, and the carrier knew about it before they even went and picked up the load. They agreed to the destination change, and then they picked up the load and still tried to deliver to the original location, which was like 700 miles away. I've never had that happen before. I've had carriers pick up loads and refuse to deliver them, but I've never had. So long story short, fortunately, we found a reload facility. We got the product off them. We got a recovery truck in there. We got it delivered the next day. It was only a day late. It cost us some money. But like, again, old Chris, I would have went nuclear on them on the phone. But new Chris, I'm like, all right, just find a facility. Let's get it transloaded. Let's get a recovery truck. And it doesn't matter what it costs. This is our best customer. It's going to cost us way more if we don't fix this. So we got it done and got it delivered. But again, it's that situation where it's like, I could have easily yelled, but would the problem have been solved? No.
Nope.
I probably would have made it worse. right? They probably still would have went on to the original destination and then demanded somebody there offload them. And then it would have been really bad with our customer.
Yeah, that's interesting. Would you say about, checking your ego? I mean, there's been times where I get so upset. When you're doing this for 20 years, these drivers, everyone kind of gets under your skin, right? Your customer gets under your skin. Your drivers get under your skin.
Yep.
Thank goodness I haven't had an employee get under my skin yet. But you do have to check your ego. And even a follow-up email after everything has been said and done, and you may have said something wrong or may have upset a carrier. Even what I've started doing is a follow-up email saying, thank you for your time. I really appreciate you helping out as much as you could on this. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Even when I'm pissed, I still try to do that. Just because we may need them. I believe in that term. You'll need me before I need you. I used to say that to people, but not with these carriers. You can't do that.
I look at it where unfortunately, there's a lot of brokers who are not the most ethical in the way that they treat drivers and everything else. And like sometimes we're on the receiving end of their past experiences with brokers and stuff like that. And, again, no matter what, I just want to get to that resolution as fast as possible where it's like, listen, we could motherfuck each other for the next 20 minutes on the phone, but like what's going to actually happen? Be fixed? Nothing, right? Like we're gonna be the exact. So like, let's get to the end of it and let's move on. And then after the fact, then I'll start screaming, right? I'll be like, what in the, and I'll have it out after it's been done. But like in the moment, I got to get to that resolution. And like, that's probably the biggest piece of advice I would give to anybody that's new in this industry is your ability to communicate in a bad situation is what makes a relationship with your customer. Because most individuals, I mean, think back in business, but like in life too, how many people at the first sign of adversity crawl into their shell and run away? Right. Most people. Like the older I get, it increases like a percentage higher. I think it's like 99% of people cower and hide in an adverse situation in life, let alone in business. It's amazing how little people's phones and emails work when there's something that's going wrong. But ironically, that's the only way to separate yourself in a flooded market that is transportation, right? Like every industry is saturated with providers, right? Like it doesn't matter what industry it is, but specifically in transportation, because this is where all my experience is, that's when I've separated myself. It had very little to do with anything other than my ability to solve problems quickly and then not let it get up. Like if I have a load that's picked up and there's a delay going to the receiver, I make that call for my customer. I don't want to go to my customer and then have them call their customer. If the receiver is going to be pissed off, let them yell at me, right? Like let them yell at me. I'll take those arrows for my customers and I'll let them know, hey, I talked to Tim. He was a little upset that the driver's going to be late, but he understood. He appreciated the fact that we told him. But here's something that I want everybody to know. I've never actually been yelled at for a late truck when I was the one calling right away. And I was like, hey, I just wanted to give you a heads up. I woke up this morning. I checked tracking. This is where the truck's at. They are not going to be there today like we had thought. I'm going to get to the bottom of this and I'll let them know. 99.9% of the time, all right, thanks for the update. That's the extent of it. Yeah. But what gets people in trouble is when your customer reaches out to you. Hey, the receiver just called. The driver didn't show up for their 10 o'clock appointment. Where are they? Then you're scrambling and everything else. It's like for me, rip the Band-Aid off and just get it over with. Like if we're gonna duke it out on the phone, let's get it over with, man. I got other stuff I got to work on today.
That's some really good advice. Some good advice that I actually need to take. But Iliana's helping me with that too. She's like reminding me, Eric, you may want to tell this customer this driver's running late or that we didn't get it covered, or like I said, with the monotony of doing the same thing all the time, you forget some things.
Yeah.
You forget etiquette.
No, I understand, right? And for me, it's like that's why we need to have it checked at times, right? Like we need to stress test our process. It's like, hey, you got to be able to answer, why do we do it this way? Why don't we do it this way? Because if, Iliana, I'm sure that's one of those things where you've came to Eric and said, hey, Eric, why don't we try it this way? And Eric's came back with, here, this is actually why we don't. we went through this situation and this is why we do it the way that we do it. And, like, I think at times you need to check your processes, your procedures to make sure, like, hey, is this the best way of doing it? Because, like, do I have an ego? Of course I have an ego, but like, if you can bring me a way to make more money and improve my customers' experience with us, I'm all ears. Tell me, rip my stuff apart, but bring an actual solution to the table.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think that's something that Eric has been very good about. Whenever I suggest anything, I don't feel like there's, right? Because these tools and these things that I could bring will be nothing if Eric just puts his hand up and says, nope, this is how we do it. This is how we do it. He's always willing to try.
Yeah.
So I think that's where his, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, so I think that's why I would, like, even when you said ego right now, it was like, it didn't even resonate with the experience I've had with Eric. He's just very open, and whatever, like you said, right? When I have tested certain things, I'm like, oh, why does this happen? He's like, oh, because this, and this is a reason for it. So he's not running around like a chicken with his head cut off kind of thing.
So what's your perception on the industry as a whole, Iliana, coming in like this? And, I know where I'm at in the industry, but I'd love your perspective, coming in and because, like, again, I've been doing this for a long time. I kind of forgot at times about it. So, like, where are you kind of standing with a lot of things?
Okay. So I think this industry has helped me with flexibility, even though everything needs to be done sometimes very quickly.
Yep.
There's a certain understanding that there are many factors that can alter anything, like the weather or the market or a new policy that comes out, that kind of thing, right? And I actually came in at a very interesting time, right? I think like I said, it was November, right? It was around Thanksgiving. So it was a holiday, right? So capacity was tight. It was hard to cover loads because everyone was going on break, right? And then Christmas comes around. Same things happen. Eric's like, Iliana, I swear this was never this hard, right? Like, things are happening, right? So then upon some research, talking with Eric, it's like, okay, so there is a shift in the market, right? So it has made me curious as to how are you people who have been in the industry for so long see this current market where it's like, Eric and I were discussing the other day, right? Where the price is not the price. The price is the truck.
Yeah.
And it's like, right now it's on the carrier side to a certain extent. So how do you view that?
I think that we are in a traditional tightness in the market that kind of comes along. There's I think weather events, no matter where they are in the country. And if you go back January, there was a couple of weeks where there's some really big storms in the East Coast and everything else. And I think a major miss by a lot of people. And again, I always like to tell people, like, yeah, I'm very fortunate to have advertisers for my podcast, but like, I actually do the job. Like, I'm not trying to sell anybody anything. I want you guys to understand that a ripple effect happens every time there's a mass weather event in pockets of the country. It will literally affect capacity throughout everywhere, right? So I think when you're going and you're understanding that, you also have to look at it like this. Like, I don't know anybody who complained when they were making money on freight. Are you going to come through and cover it for your customer? You might take a loss, you might break even, but like, if you're not going to, I will, I'll lose money because it's part of the game. Right. And it's that ebbs and that flow of that is a relationship, right? A lot of people want to preach relationships until it's not beneficial for them. Then all of a sudden, F these guys and everything else. Right. So it's like, nobody was complaining when they were making money, but everybody had an opinion when rates went up from the carriers, capacity went down. Now, all of a sudden, brokers are crying. Relationships, why is it like, how are these guys quoting this? Supply and demand. It's that easy. That is as complex as you need to make the freight market. But I also go back, if you're using the same providers as much as you should be, the way that we are, our rates didn't increase at all to our customers. Like, we just did our job in that moment, and our carriers came through. They're like, yeah, man, we could do it for the same rate. We don't need any more than that. Now, there was a couple of shipments that we moved that were trade show shipments. Like, it had to leave the facility. It had to go through the storm. We found a truck to do it. We lost money on that load, but we had to service our customer, right? Like, our customer did approve more on that one to help cover some detention. Cause like, when we had it, it was a minimal loss, but after they had to wait for a while, detention fees came up. they helped us bridge the gap in the moment, but like we never go back to them on the times that we have lost money because of tightness, or it's a short miles on a weekend, and we quoted it with the anticipation it was going to pick Monday, deliver Tuesday, and it turned out it was picking Friday for Monday, and we had to pay more on it. And again, we just take care of the carrier in that moment. And again, I don't let a bad transaction ruin the life cycle of a relationship.
That's right. That's right. I think it's really important, even, when you're discussing with your customer, if something's going wrong with the shipment itself, to just keep that open communication. They when they know they can trust you, you got them. You have a good customer relationship when they know they can trust you.
Yeah.
It seems like lately we've been getting, I didn't even get the chance to tell Iliana, we've been getting referrals from our current customers to different customers.
Yes.
And we just got one today. I didn't even get a chance to tell you, Iliana. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Let's go. Good news all around.
Right. But it's because of that relationship and because of that honesty and that rawness and knowing that they can reach you. I tell my customers all the time, I am 24/7. Mm-hmm. And they've called me at some crazy times and I act like I was wide awake in front of my computer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. I'm here right now. What do you need? I've been sitting here waiting.
Exactly. Or send out emails at 1 morning, letting them know I'm working on your stuff.
Yeah. I think like that is when you have a great business, is when your customers refer you to other people.
That's true. I felt really good about that.
I look at it as anybody can sell a service or a product. Very rarely can you sell loyalty. Yeah. And when you get that loyalty from a customer that they're going to put their professional reputation on the line to recommend you, that's when you have something. And then that's when like, don't change this process. Whatever we're doing, we got to replicate this and deliver it to that next one. And that's one of those things that we don't selectively perform for our customers. And what I mean by that is we don't operate in the way that we do when we're making money only. We do it when we're losing money, right? Like it is very, very important to deliver the exact same level of service and communication, whether you're winning or you're losing. Your customer should never know the difference because my loyalty can't be bought. Right. And it's like, I don't want to not perform at a high level because I'm sour because I lost some money on a load. Like that's childish, right? Yeah. Like I'm almost 40. You know what I mean? Like I'm a little bit past that aspect of my life to where it's like, if I can go out there and execute the exact same, no matter what, you're going to win by default because most people are I like to call them selective savages, right? They're great when it's easy, but they are non-existent when it's hard.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's true. That's very true. So that's some good advice. I think that the relationship with customers are extremely important, even in the tough times. Like, this very same customer that referred me was a little upset because we couldn't get some loads covered this week. And so knowing that they referred me after that incident, it made me really feel good about what we're doing and just keep doing the same thing. And like I said, I think it's just your honesty as far as saying, hey, listen, I don't have a truck right now. I can't get this one covered. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. I look at it as you have to, I think we overcomplicate what we try and do at times, like we like, I look at it as like, I'm a freight broker. All right. I have a hard time with people who try and like switch up like what we fundamentally are. Like I'm a broker. I'm a pro though. Right. Like I'm not just a person who shows up like, this is my career. This is my calling. This is my passion. This is my love. I love freight. I love everything about this industry, but I also, understand that not everybody who I'm going to work with is going to be a customer for life. I also understand that I got to protect my business, my interests, my future, and everything else that comes along with it. But, I can't be bought to not do the right thing. I think our number one core value is to do the right thing no matter what. And even if that is at our expense, and even if I do that and we lose business for it, so be it. I'm not gonna be punished for doing the right thing.
That's
you know?
right.
And I think that is where a lot of people fall off. And I think that's what causes a lot more issues is when you're only thinking about yourself and what it does to you, and you're removing the customer and the carrier from the equation. And
Right.
once you start doing that, I think you start to downward spiral with a lot of stuff. And, again, this is always easier said than done, right? It's always easy to sit here and talk about best practices in a controlled environment when you're not going through any of the shit out there. But like, I can promise you this, those situations come, they go, you learn, you adjust, and you improve in those moments, or you quit. Like, that's the alternative, right? You learn and improve, or you quit. And that's your decision to make. But I look at it as the reason why, I've been able to perform at a high level is because I did fuck everything up early on. And I learned from it, though, right? Like, I will die on this hill, you guys. It is more valuable to know what not to do than to do.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think if you know what not to do, you're going to be successful by default.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is very true. That is very true. I had a customer once tell me, because I used to stress about everything. I always wanted everything to go right. Like, I wanted everything to go right. I had to make sure I called the appointment 3 or 4 times and make sure everything was lined up. The driver knew what he was doing. He knew he had all the specific things that he needed for his truck. And it would stress me out. Mm-hmm. And I had a customer one time call me. It was a really good customer. And she said, Eric, sweetie, don't worry about it. It's just freight.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that blew my mind. I was like, oh my goodness, she's so right. Although, you still worry because you want to maintain your relationships with your customers and your carriers. But her saying that to me made me feel like, oh my goodness, Eric, you're stressing way too much.
But that customer, though, like we had our customer do that here recently with that one situation I was describing earlier. And we called them and told them, they're like, huh, ain't that some shit? And, and then they just started laughing. And they're like, well, you got everything figured out, right? We're like, yeah, we did. They're like, all right, cool. Things happen. That's freight. And then they just, but that's the thing is sometimes we build it up in our head so much about how much worse it could be. And then your customer can feel that you care coming through. They can feel your intent. And when you work with somebody long enough and they know how you are, you can, you have that social credit built up where they're like, Eric, I know you're not doing this because of anything other than you tried your absolute best. That's and it true. Just didn't work out, But again, it can take, this is kind of one of those things that I live by as well, is you can do 1,000 shipments for a customer, but you're not entitled to the 1,001st. Mm-hmm. And if you have the right intent throughout all of it, right, you're doing the right thing, you're communicating, you're owning up if you're dropping the ball, because that failure is part of life. You do that, they're going to respect it, right? Because they all know that things happen. But ultimately, you're being compared to what other people do, and most people don't even fucking communicate when things go wrong.
I know. I have to think about that too. With I would imagine, not every broker is like me. That's how I think, and not every broker is not me. I have a question for you.
Yes.
Do you give incentives to your customers?
What do you mean by that?
Not as far as rates, like gifts. Is that permitted? Is that looked upon as bad? Is it I've never talked to any other agent about that.
Yeah, no, 100%. We will call and we've bought a couple of our customers, we bought them lunch before we sent it in. We organized catering from a place, had it sent in, but we call them and ask for approval first, right? Because our customers work for, they have bosses as well, and we don't want to step on anybody's toes. And I'll always offer to take them out to lunch. I try and go out there and visit everybody. I want to meet people in person. If we're going to work together, let's break bread. Right? Let's understand, let's actually talk about life outside of business a little bit. That's a long-term business development thing. That's not on the very first phone call. Yeah. But I'll always ask ahead of time, because I have one of my customers, they're very large, they're very old school. They're like, hey, we just can't do, we don't take gifts from anybody. It's not a you thing. We just can't do it. It's just a company policy. And it's all right, cool. Right. But then I have other customers who are elated that we offered to, bring them lunch. And they're like, are you serious? We're like, yeah, we just want to send you guys, how many are there? What do you guys want? And we'll send it in like that. And again, it's just those little things. Like again, to me, it's like it's just a humanizing thing, because like we all got people we love and care for that we want to go home to them at the end of the day. And I think food is that one thing that is left in this world that we can all bond over.
Yep.
Yeah. And when you have a meal with somebody, when you offer to buy somebody lunch, and that's something that we do with our drivers as well, right?
Oh, really?
So it's like some of our core carriers, like we've had a couple of situations where our drivers got stuck in a storm. They were shut down at a truck stop for a couple of days. We just Venmo'd them and we're like, hey, can I send you $25 so you can go get a burger?
That's a really good idea.
It's
a really good idea.
It's just little things like that, right? Like that goes so far with so many people, right? Because in a thankless job that is trucking, because unfortunately it is a thankless job for a lot of people who are behind the wheel. Those small gestures go so far. And it's even like, we've had situations where detention came up, customer didn't approve it because it was a first come, first serve, but we just paid the driver because we're like, dude, you don't deserve to sit there for free. Here you go. They are just like, they're so floored that we do those things. And to me, it's just the little stuff like that. Yeah, it comes out of my pocket. But like at the end of the day, man, nobody deserves to work for free.
I agree. I bet you a lot of broker or agents don't do that. Because they're so appreciative of the little things. I've done that before with a carrier, just paid him the detention. I never thought to buy him lunch or, when he has to stay over, if he missed his appointment. And like, that's a really good idea for carriers. Customers, now that I think about it, I have bought a few lunches.
Yeah. I always like to get approval because some people can't, right? Like some people will say like, hey, it's company policy. We can't do it. We appreciate the offer, but I just look at it, it's we're all humans at the end of the day, right? And a little appreciation goes a long way with a lot of people, and especially in this industry, right? Like I look at trucking as it's just a very salt of the earth industry. There's a lot of hardworking men and women in this industry that do just want to do the right thing. They want to go home. And it's like, if something happens out there, just do something right by it, right? Like $10 isn't going to throw your day away. If hey, you're here, or, oh, hey, the shipment's delayed and you're at the truck stop right now. Can I buy a coffee? Like what can I do? Is there a Starbucks, Dunkin' close by? What can I do? How can I make this a little bit better for you?
So minor. Like you said, it's not even expensive to do something like that. Mm-hmm. I had a customer where I got to know all about her, her and her kids and her partner. And I did order some stuff off of Amazon for her kids. Really didn't even spend no more than $20, but it was just the little things that, that they received and the joy, and her kids got to speak to me. And, that relationship still to this day, I still get text. I'm no longer moving shipments for that customer, but I'm still getting texts from the young lady that used to give me the freight. So
I love that stuff, right? Because dude, it is those little things. And I think, again, it's just like with everything, when you're trying to develop a business, a book of business or anything, people try and overcomplicate what you're actually trying to do. And I think the faster you can get to the fact that we're both human beings and you treat the other person as such, I think that a lot of great things can happen. Now, I'm also old enough to know that there are just some miserable people out there in this world. And it doesn't matter what you do or say, but like, I will always hold myself to a higher standard, no matter what. And if somebody talks down to me, I'm not going to engage in it. As hard as it is, like I'm a very competitive person. I really want to snap back at some people sometimes. I'm just not going to lower myself down. I'm going to just try and hold myself to a higher standard in all those moments.
And I think, at least since I've been working here and everyone that I've talked to about SPI, other, carriers that have worked with SPI have nothing but good things to say. And so that goes a long way too, no one has anything bad to say about SPI. And I like that. I like the tools. Mm-hmm. I'm sure Iliana can talk about that, all the tools that we have at SPI and how she went through the classes with Revanova, and this girl is amazing.
Yeah, the tools that are at our disposal is insane. Yeah, right. Like
SPI really does a good job at that.
Yeah, they really take care of us at such a high level, and and I think like what you're seeing externally and internally with a company like SPI is their just willingness to help. Like it doesn't matter, and I look at that is that was established from the ground up, and you don't just operate that way one time to one select person, right? Like that's an overarching thing. And I think that is their greatest strength out there in the market is they are just great people at their core. They actually want to help you, and you win and succeed. And that comes across to our customers. They work with our customers on things. They work with our carriers on stuff too. Like they just want to facilitate at such a high level. And I think that's why they've been around for over 45 years and continue to grow, right? Like you don't mistakenly become successful, right? Like it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of doing the right thing to have that happen. And in my opinion, they've mastered that.
They have. That's why I'm excited for Iliana to come to Revenova next year.
Yes. You're going to come up to Rendezvous, and we're going to have a great time with all of that.
What did I say?
Revenova. You got high quality TMS on your mind. But I really appreciate you guys joining me here today. This was great. I can't wait to talk. You see, I'm going to see you next month, Eric. So we're going to be able to hang out at Rendezvous. Iliana, it's been a pleasure to meet you. If you have any questions, just always reach out. Hit me up. I'm more than happy to help. And yes, this is on the recording, and I'm not just saying that. Being truthful in that, because I love that you're young and excited about this industry, and it's great to see out there. But thank you guys so much for your time. That is going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, if you got value in what you heard and you're not subscribed, subscribe to the show, you guys. And if you're feeling ambitious, rank that show on iTunes and Spotify, because if you see value, your network's going to see it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And we'll be talking soon.